Romance in the Middle Ages wore armor not only on knights but around every whispered vow. The dark side of romance hums in the margins where power maps out who gets to love and who must watch from the edge. Love could bloom between candle flames and garden shadows. Yet it also carried a blade's edge, debts, dynasties, and the constant weight of a world that demanded obedience before affection. Tonight, we wander through those shadowed corridors to hear a story where a stubborn spark survives against the cold logic of kings and courts. SFX. Torch_flicker, our tale opens in a fortress perched above a wet coast where wind drags the sea's salt into every hall. Elara, daughter of a minor lord, learns early that a marriage is a treaty written in silk and iron. Her betrothal to Lord Marius promises security for a fragile family. But it would sever the thing that makes a girl hear her own heartbeat, choice. Elara's room glows gold with tapestries and the scent of wax. Yet her heart sinks when she thinks of a future penned by others. SFX. Distant_armor_clink, 2 inches the same stone shadow. A man named Kaelen moves through the library like a quiet tide. He is not a soldier, not a noble, but a scholar who tends brittle manuscripts and the fragile truths they carry. Kaelen's eyes remember one small truth. Love isn't a weapon to be brandished. It's a current that runs through human beings, if you know how to listen. He is summoned to translate treaties and tidy ledgers. Yet his mind drifts to the girl who glances at him with a mix of fear and curiosity whenever he speaks of poetry hidden in the margins of a legal scroll. SFX. Paper_rustle, their first exchange happens by accident in a corridor lined with locked doors and the quiet hum of the building's heart. A note, slipped between pages of a book no one notices, is all it takes to awaken a language neither had spoken aloud. The note says, in careful handwriting, "If love means breaking a chain, then break the chain with me." It's not a vow but a dare they both answer in the margins of their own days. SFX. Ink_scribble, Elara and Kaelen begin to talk in the gaps between responsibilities. They trade words when the watch shifts change. When the moon climbs the tower and the rest of the fortress pretends to sleep. They learn that romance in this world isn't a private garden. It's a fragile thing that must be tended in secret. Watered with brave conversations and small acts of rebellion that don't leave a visible trace on the surface. SFX. Soft_chord, the dark side presses in most loudly at a feast that celebrates alliances, power, and a glittering future. The hall is full of faces pressed close to cups of wine. The air thick with a mixture of perfume and fear. Elara wears a gown that whispers when she moves, a reminder that the world around her is listening. Kaelen is nearby with a cautious smile, pretending to be merely a guest while watching over the girl who has become his responsibility in the most personal sense. In that room, a shadow speaks too loudly. A rival noble, hungry for leverage, uncovers the notes hidden between the pages of a treaty and proclaims that Elara's heart is a threat to the crown's carefully laid plans. The accusation could ruin her forever. And ruin is not abstract in these halls, it wears a name and a price. The couple faces a test that could drive them apart with the force of a winter storm. SFX. Parchment_scan, but here is where the stubborn light of their connection refuses to dim. Kaelen slips a second note into Elara's sleeve. A promise that they will endure whatever comes. A plan to meet again beyond the reach of the hall's watchful gaze. In the shadows of a side chamber, they share a breath. And for a heartbeat the entire fortress seems to pause. Listening to two hearts choosing each other over their safety, over the easy, over the known. SFX. Heart_beat, the danger escalates, not with a grand display, but with a careful series of cuts to trust. A cup of wine carried by a trusted messenger bears a powder meant to reveal secrets or end a life. The plan to expose the lovers falters when a page, wet with ink and fear, slips from a coat and lands at a guard's boot. A moment of doubt becomes a moment of rescue. A medic appears before calamity can claim a life. And the poison is cured by an antidote found in a nurse's careful hands. SFX. Healer_chant. 2 Elara's finger trembles as she reads the coded message Kaelen left in a concealed pocket of her gown. It's a map. Not of streets but of chances, places where they might be safe to be seen together. Where the truth of their loyalty might be spoken aloud only to the stars. The world is heavy with the weight of expectations. But their resolve grows heavier still. They will not surrender to the blueprint others drew for them. SFX. Distant_bell. 2 Yet the question remains. Can love endure in a realm where every act is judged by its potential to destabilize the throne? Elara learns what many women before her already knew, that resistance is not loud, it is patient. She speaks with Kaelen about building a home in the wards of the heart rather than in the sealed vaults of power. They begin to imagine a life where their love isn't merely a secret, but a quiet revolution. A testament that affection can bloom even when the soil is unkind. In time, the couple discovers a truth that is often strangled by the noise of the world. Perseverance matters more than mere passion. They discover a way to nurture their bond through small acts: a shared book at night, a skin of bread and soup passed through a crack in the wall, a song sung in a corridor when no one else is listening. Their love becomes a practice, not a fantasy. A daily choice to remain faithful to their vow even when the tapestry of life frays at the edges. SFX. Violin_note. 2 The story doesn't end with a fairy tale marriage in a sunlit courtyard. That would be a lie for this world. Instead, it moves toward a quiet settlement of the heart. Elara and Kaelen find an unplanned kind of happiness within the walls of a modest home they manage to keep beneath the crown's notice. They raise kindness like a banner rather than a weapon. And through the years they learn to listen to the language of ordinary moments: the soft rain on the roof, the way winter light spills across a kitchen table, the way a shared gaze can say more than a letter ever could. SFX. Kitchen_clock_tick. 2 Their persistence changes the space around them. Not through dramatic declarations, but through the insistence that love be attended to every day. A neighbor's child is taken in when needed. A councilman who valued pure lineage begins to value a different kind of lineage, one of courage and care. The dark side hasn't vanished. But the light they hold keeps finding new cracks in the stone, letting warmth seep through. SFX. Wind_through_courtyard. 2 What do we take from their story when we press pause on the screen and breathe? We learn that romance in medieval times could be a survival manual, a guide to choosing honesty when it costs more than. It is a reminder that perseverance is a form of tenderness. And that love can be nurtured in unlikely places if 2 people refuse to let fear decide their fate. The dark side remains, but so does the stubborn, beautiful, dangerous truth that love can be both fragile and fierce, and that sometimes the strongest weapon is simply choosing to stay. SFX. Distant_church_bell. 2 Inches the end. Their romance teaches us a patient hope. It doesn't erase the scars left by power and protocol, but it proves that a heart can grow even when the world tries to rewrite its lines. If you've ever doubted that love is possible amid the grind of obligation, listen to this. Love that endures is not a miracle, it's a craft. It's the daily choice to show up, to forgive, to listen, to risk. And to believe that a future built on 2 steady, brave hearts is still possible even in the shadow of a history that learned to fear it. So, when the day ends and the fortress grows quiet again, remember Elara and Kaelen not as a myth, but as a testament. Romance with a dark edge can still glow with warmth and resilience. It can be a map for our own hearts. A reminder that even under heavy crowns, love can grow in patient soil and eventually bloom into a life that feels like a small, bright, undeniable miracle. SFX. Distant_waves. 2 If you're listening with a hopeful heart, take this with you. The history of romance isn't only triumphs but truths that perseverance and nurture can turn even the harshest seasons into a garden where love can survive, thrive. and transform everything it touches. And that, perhaps, is the real legacy of romance in medieval history, not merely the way it began, but the way it endures. Teaching us to believe in endings that glow softly, even when the night is long. Endings, like dawns, arrive when we learn to keep faith with the light we hold inside. And so the story lingers, not as a distant legend, but as a quiet invitation, to love bravely, to endure kindly, and to trust that happiness, in its own time, can rise from